Hello, good day. Welcome to our YouTube channel about economics. In this particular lecture, we are continuing the solution of the workshop related to the utility. The question here is, how much of a good will people buy if they wish to maximize their self-interest? According to economics, the self-interest is the behavior of maximizing your own utility. So that's what basically we are trying to find out. Like, say, for example, how will you be maximizing your self-interest? In this particular case, how will you be maximizing your total utility? They will compare the marginal utility they expect to get from consuming the goods with the price they have to pay. Again, like, as you remember, the basic economics is about the comparison between the additional cost of the consumption and the additional price, or the additional benefit that you get. So this will involve perceiving marginal utility in monetary terms. As you know that one of the definitions of the utility is that the utility can be defined in terms of the money money price you are willing to pay for something. How much an extra unit good, how much the extra unit of the good is worth to them. The table below shows the marginal utility of a person gets from consuming different quantities of a good. Assume that the good is sold for 20 pounds. Now, when you are talking about this selling of the 20 pounds, we are actually setting the price of this, this particular kind of a commodity. Now, this is what basically is the price, and this price is the marginal cost. So what exactly we are doing basically here, we are actually trying to compare the additional cost of the consumption with the additional benefit, and that benefit you are getting in terms of the marginal utility. Now, if you look at this table, like say, for example, the marginal utility of a person Y from good X. Now, basically, we are actually talking about from the consumption. If you just actually increase your consumption from 0 to 1, the first unit of the consumption gives you an additional utility of 25 pounds. It means that for first unit of the consumption, you are willing to pay 25 pounds. For the second unit, this actually the willingness to pay falls as expected because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now, for the second unit, you are just willing to pay 20 pounds. It means that, your utility for the second consumption unit has fallen from 25 to 20. From the second unit to the third unit, you are just willing to pay 16 pounds. And that's what basically is something that you are actually, again, your willingness to pay is falling for the third unit. From third to fourth unit, your willingness to pay actually has fallen further. Actually, it has become 12. From 4th to 5th unit, it is again 8. Now, from the 5th to 6th unit, actually it's fallen further to 4 units. Now, the first part of this question is, what is the person's total utility from consuming 4 units? What is the person's total utility? This total utility can be found out by adding up all the marginality of the 4 units. Like, say, for example, from 0 to 1, you are getting 25 pounds utility. From 1 to 2, you are getting 20 pounds utility. From 2 to 3, you're actually getting 16 pounds. From 3 to 4, you are getting 12 pounds. If you add them all up together, you get 73 pounds. So that is what basically, gives you the amount of the total utility that you are getting from the consumption of this particular kind of the 4 units. Now, the B part is, what is the person's total expenditures consuming 6 units? Total expenditures for 6 units. 1 unit actually costs 10 pounds. So 6 units cost 6 into 10. That's what basically the simple calculation. So 60 pounds is the total expenditures for the 6 units. Similarly, the C part is, what is the person's marginal consumer surplus from consuming a second unit? We are talking about, as you remember, the consumer surplus is the difference between the amount you are willing to pay or the utility that you are getting from the consumption and the price you are paying. So the willingness to pay and ability, the amount that you are paying. So the willingness to pay actually depends on that how much utility you are actually getting from the second unit of consumption. We are just talking about the second unit. For the second units, your total utility that you are getting in terms of money is 20 pounds. But for the second units, you are just paying 10 pounds. So it means that you are actually getting an extra surplus, which is 10 pounds. Now, the D part is, what is the person's total consumer surplus from consuming 2 units? Here we were talking about the second unit, and here we are talking about 2 units. So for this calculation of the consumer surplus, we will have to add up the utility from the first and the second. Like, say, for example, from the first unit, your utility is 25 pounds, and from the second unit, it's 20 pounds. For the 2 units altogether, the total utility that you are getting is 45 pounds. It means that for the 2 units, you are willing to pay, or the utility that you are getting actually in terms of price is 45 pounds. But since the price of 1 unit is 10, you are actually paying just 20 pounds for 2 units. So if you subtract 45, 20 from the 25, you will get just 25 pounds. That's what basically is the consumer surplus from consuming 2 units, not the second units, the 2 units. At what level of consumption is the person's total consumer surplus maximized? Like the consumer surplus will be maximized at the point where the price is equal to the marginal utility. That's what basically is the basic condition for the rational behavior of an individual. We make the decisions and we actually maximize our behavior. When your marginal cost is equal to the marginal benefit, so the price is equal to the marginal utility that you get. So here, this is basically at the fourth unit, because between the fourth unit, there is a 10. So the 10 is a price that you are paying. So the additional utility that you are getting will actually be equal to the price, that you will be paying for the commodity. So the 4 unit will be basically the point, the 4 unit will be the consumption at which you will be maximizing your total consumer surplus. And this total consumer surplus can be found out by adding up all the utilities from them and just subtracting the 4 units value, multiplying by 10. So say, for example, if you just add up all the 4 units value, say, for example, here, the 73, and you subtract the 40, so you will get the 33 pounds. So we'll be continuing in the next video, the further solution of the exercise. Thank you for joining us.